Hi, I'm Trent, 28, and last Friday I found out my girlfriend was running a scam so diabolical, it made pyramid schemes look wholesome. Vera had been hinting for weeks that it was time I leveled up. Her words. Not mine. Babe, she said, tossing her curls like she was in a shampoo ad. My girls are dying to meet you properly. We're doing dinner at Cascadia on Friday. Dress nice. You need to make a good impression. That should have been my first red flag. The emphasis on you need to. Friday night rolls around. I show up in my best blazer and polished shoes, stomach doing nervous gymnastics. Meeting the inner circle is always nerve-wracking, but I figured Vera thought I was worth it. She was already there when I arrived, flanked by 5 of her closest friends, who all looked like they were auditioning for a reality show called Wives of Wall Street. Designer bags, glam makeup, expressions like they were reviewing my resume. Ladies, Vera beamed. This is Trent. Trent, meet the squad. They'd already ordered by the time I sat down. 2 bottles of wine half gone. Appetizers in elegant disarray across the table. One girl, Maddox, yeah, that's a name now, looked me up and down like I was a clearance item. So, Trent, she said, Vera says you're generous. Generous. Like it was a job qualification. Dinner felt like an interview crossed with a trap. Every answer I gave was met with side eyes and whispers. What do I do? IT, consulting. Where do I live? Decent apartment. What car do I drive? A paid-off Honda, thank you very much. I thought I was holding my own, but it felt like they were grading me on a test I didn't know I was taking. And then the check came. The waiter set it in the middle of the table like a live grenade. Nobody moved. Then Vera, smiling sweetly, slid it toward me. Babe, she said like this was romantic. You got this, right? I opened it. $2,127. 43. I blinked. Looked around. Laughed awkwardly. This is everyone's meal? They all laughed like I was being silly. Of course, said Shay, who had ordered 2 entrees. You wouldn't expect ladies to pay, would you? I glanced at Vera. Her expression said everything. This was a test. And I was about to fail. I smiled. That tight, polite, don't lose your mind in public smile. Then I pulled out my wallet, calmly placed my credit card on top of the bill, and slid it back to the waiter. No problem at all, I said. Vera beamed. Her friends visibly relaxed, as if the peasant had proven himself worthy of the kingdom. The waiter disappeared. I leaned back in my chair, mentally screaming. $2,000. For 6 people. Who I had met 90 minutes ago. My checking account wasn't empty, but it definitely wasn't ready to be a luxury buffet sponsor. Still, I figured I could cover it, transfer the rest from savings later. What's a little spontaneous poverty between lovers? But then the waiter came back. He looked uncomfortable. Like he'd just seen a dog get kicked. I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Trent, but your card has been declined. The entire table froze. What? Vera snapped, louder than necessary. Run it again. I ran it 3 times, ma'am. Would you like to try another card? Cue me, frantically pulling out my phone, opening my banking app. Balance, $87. 50, $87. And 50 cents. Oh, I said, trying to stay cool. I moved most of my money to savings yesterday. Higher interest rates, you know? Totally forgot to transfer it back. Vera's face went pale. You don't have $2,000 in your checking account? Not at the moment. But technically, yes, I have the money. But the bank's closed now. Maddox asked, like I just explained my hamster ate the rent. Correct. The silence was gorgeous. So then came the $1 million question. Or rather, the $2,000 one. So, the waiter said delicately, who will be covering the bill? 6 sets of eyes slowly turned to Vera. Her nostrils flared. Fix this. Now. I raised my hands. I mean, I can put in my $87. 50. The waiter nodded. Perhaps the ladies would like to split the remainder. I can divide it 6 ways. The explosion was immediate. I didn't bring my wallet. Vera said this was covered. I just came for dinner, not bankruptcy. Chaos. Vera's eyes burned into me like laser beams. Outside. Now. We barely made it to the parking lot before Vera spun around, full rage mode unlocked. What kind of man are you? She hissed, arms crossed like a disappointed CEO. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? Embarrassing for who? I asked, genuinely confused. I tried to pay with a smile and a card that only failed because of an automatic transfer. I didn't exactly throw a tantrum and flip the table. She stepped closer, voice rising. I told them you were a provider. I said you were different. And then you humiliate me with this poverty act? My jaw dropped. Poverty? Vera, I literally have the money. I just didn't move it fast enough. BS. She snapped. You knew what tonight was. You knew you were supposed to impress them. That's the whole point. The point was to spend $2,000 on strangers to prove I'm worthy of dating you. I asked. They're not strangers. They're my friends. And yes, a real man handles the bill without whining. When did I whine? I said, almost laughing. I handed over the card like a gentleman. The bank declined me, not my masculinity. But she wasn't listening. Her eyes darted back toward the restaurant window where we could still see her friends gesticulating wildly around the waiter. Now I have to go back in there and pay with money I need for rent, because you decided to be petty. I blinked. Petty? You brought 6 people to a fancy restaurant, and expected me to pay like I'm some kind of walking ATM. You didn't even warn me. She laughed. Actually laughed. Oh my God! You really don't get it, do you? We don't pay. That's not how this works. My blood went cold. How it works? I asked slowly. Dating. She snapped, like I was the idiot. Relationships. Men take care of things. That's literally your job. Really? Because I thought my job was IT consulting. She rolled her eyes like I was being deliberately obtuse. Don't be cute. You know what you signed up for when you started dating me. Oh yeah? Enlighten me. You signed up to be a provider. To show you could take care of me. And your 5 freeloading friends? She didn't even blink. That, she said coldly, was a test. And you failed. Spectacularly. She turned on her heel and stomped back inside. And I stood there in the parking lot, stunned, watching the chaos unfold through the window as her girls scrambled for wallets. That's when the light bulb hit me. This wasn't just an awkward dinner. It was a setup. I drove home in silence, every streetlight flickering like a taunt. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from numbers I didn't recognize. You're actually pathetic. Vera deserves so much better. Small dick energy. No wonder you drive a Honda. Blocked. 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 I tried to shake it off. Maybe they were just drunk. Embarrassed. Trying to shift blame. I told myself it would blow over. Then I made the mistake of checking Vera's Instagram. There it was. A story posted before dinner. Tonight's the night. Let's see if he passes the test. Nail polish, know your worth. My stomach dropped. I scrolled back. Past selfies and brunch photos and motivational quotes she absolutely did not live by. Buried in there were more hints. Screenshots of tweets like, if he wanted to, he would. A man who doesn't pay is a man who doesn't stay. And then I found her TikTok. That's when the floor really gave out. A whole series. How to test if he's a provider. Clips of her doing voiceovers with captions like, ask him to cover dinner for your friends. If he flinches, he's not husband material. Red flag, he asks to split the bill. My girls and I only date men who pay. Period. The dinner wasn't a celebration. It wasn't a meet the friends milestone. It was a shakedown. And I'd been marked. I commented on her story, just 4 words. Failed your test. Pass mine. Within the hour, she blocked me everywhere. I figured that was the end. I was so wrong. Because 3 days later, I got a Venmo request. From Vera. $354.57. Message. My portion from Friday since you couldn't be a man about it. I stared at it. And hit decline. 5 minutes later, another request. Same amount. You owe me this. Decline. Then a text from a number I didn't have saved. This is Vera. Pay me back now. You deliberately humiliated me. The least you can do is cover what I had to pay. My response? You chose the restaurant. You invited your friends. You ordered the food. How do I owe you money? Her reply was instant. Because a real man would have paid. And I swear to God, she added, I had to use my rent money. I just wrote back. That sounds like a you problem. That's when the call started. 20 times in 1 hour. Voicemails raging louder each time. But the last message she left wasn't angry. It was desperate. You'll never find another woman like me. I actually laughed. God, I hope that was true. But then things got even weirder. Because the next day, I started getting DMs from random women I'd never met. Hey, is this Trent? Just wanted to warn you about Vera. She's done this before. At first, I thought it was fake. Some weird prank. But then I met Bethany. She was the ex-girlfriend of one of Vera's previous targets. We met up for coffee, mostly because I needed to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. She slid her phone across the table without a word. It was a screenshot. A WhatsApp group chat called City Girls Win. Members, Vera, Maddox, Shay, and a few others I recognized from dinner. The messages were a buffet of psychopathy. Found a new one. Software engineer. Should be good for at least 5K before he catches on. Mine just bought the table at Sky Bar. 3K minimum. LOL. Remember ladies, if he complains about money, he's not the one. Next. Then came the kicker. Vera, this one seems promising. IT money but drives a Honda. Might be cheap or might be smart. Testing Friday. Update after dinner, failed. Had to pay my own way. Disgusting. Maddox, drop him, sis. Broke boys don't deserve you. I stared at the screen in silence, my coffee suddenly tasting like betrayal. Bethany nodded. They run the same play every few months. Find a guy, love bomb him, then hit him with the big group dinner test. If he pays, they bleed him for more. If he hesitates, they shame him and bounce. That's... I started, trying to find a word. Fraud? She offered. Yeah. But no one reports it. I mean, who's going to the police to say my girlfriend conned me into buying lobster for her friends? Fair point. And it gets worse. She added, pulling up a spreadsheet. Names. Dates. Occupations. Notes. 23 guys. Over 2 years. Estimated haul? $50,000. Wait, this is organized? I asked. She nodded. There's a whole network of exes. Guys who got played, realized it later. Some of us started comparing notes. Your victim number 24. I blinked. How do you know that? She scrolled to my name on the list. Trent, IT consultant, potential earner, test failed, Honda guy. And suddenly it clicked. The whole dinner was never about impressing anyone. It was about qualifying for a role I never auditioned for. And when I failed, I became the villain in a story I never wrote. But if they thought I was just going to fade quietly into the night, they had no idea who they were dealing with. See, Vera made 2 critical mistakes. First, she put everything in writing. Second, she forgot I work in IT. The next morning, I got to work. I started by gathering evidence, screenshots of her TikToks outlining the provider test, her Instagram posts teasing, "Tonight's the night," those delightful WhatsApp messages Bethany had shared, and of course, the Venmo requests and text threats from Vera. But the cherry on top? The voicemails. I clipped the best ones, including the one where she yelled, "You'll never find another woman like me!" I planned to make that the trailer. Then I did some digging. See, Vera had one more vulnerability, her LinkedIn profile. Turns out, she was in the middle of a serious job hunt, applying to a dozen sales and marketing gigs, all proudly listing her as a relationship builder and strategic communicator. Cute. So I bought a domain. Date scam alert. Com. Simple, elegant, petty. I posted everything. The screenshots, the receipts, the voices of other victims. No last names, no direct doxing, just enough. Enough that if you Googled Vera plus marketing plus our city, it'd be result number 3. But I wasn't done. Bethany handed me another gem. Vera had bragged in the group chat about writing off these dinners as business expenses on her taxes. If they're paying, she typed, might as well get the write-off too. Tax. Fraud. So I submitted an anonymous tip to the IRS with screenshots. But wait, there's more. I called Cascadia, the restaurant where this whole disaster started. Spoke to the manager. Told him everything. He sighed. You're not the first. Apparently, Vera and her girl gang had a reputation, sending food back after eating half, claiming hair in dishes, angling for comps. The manager was very interested in a signed statement, which I gladly provided. So did Bethany. So did 2 other past victims she connected me with. Result? Banned. From Cascadia. And from 6 other restaurants in the group. Their favorite scam venues were now off limits. That's when the dominoes really started to fall. First, Vera's job search stalled. 2 companies she'd been in final rounds with suddenly went in another direction. Weird, right? Almost like someone Googled her name. Then the IRS came knocking. Bethany messaged me with the update. She's been hit with $3,000 in back taxes and penalties. She's freaking. But the best part? Her crew turned on each other. Screenshots leaked of Maddox accusing someone in the group of snitching. Vera accused Shay of being sloppy. Shay fired back. Maybe don't post crime on TikTok then. By the end of the week, the group chat was imploding. Trust gone. Screenshots flying. Accusations turning into block parties. Meanwhile, the guy with $87.50 in checking was having the time of his life. 3 weeks later, I was back to living my quiet little life. Morning gym, client calls, meal prep Sundays. Except now I was also the unofficial patron saint of scam victims. Date scam alert. Com was getting steady traffic. A few emails rolled in every week from grateful dudes. Hey man, I was about to take this girl out and Googled her name. Your site saved me $1,500 and a therapy bill. I considered adding a testimonials page. Meanwhile, Vera's life was turning into a slow-motion collapse. First, the job market completely froze her out. Word travels fast when you're associated with a site that includes the phrase weaponized femininity scam ring. Her attempts to rebrand herself online were tragic. She launched a new TikTok series, Financial Abuse Survivors Unite. That's right. She called herself the victim. Her first video featured crocodile tears and a heartfelt monologue about how broke men manipulate women by refusing to pay for what they owe. I almost choked on my coffee. The comment section? Brutal. Girl, you ran the scam. This you? With screenshots of her provider test videos. You mean having a savings account is abuse now? She deleted it within 24 hours. But the IRS didn't delete their audit. They doubled down. Apparently Vera had claimed over a dozen dinners as business strategy meetings. And when she couldn't produce receipts or prove a business, they hit her with another fine. Total damages, $4,200. She had to sell her designer bags to pay it. She posted a tearful Instagram story of herself at a pawn shop. Caption: This is what happens when you trust the wrong man. Oh, I loved that one. But it didn't end there. Restaurants started talking. Turns out Cascadia wasn't the only place that had issues with this group. Multiple upscale venues in the city quietly created a shared test table list. A blacklist of known scammers and grifters. Maddox tried to start her own offshoot crew. New energy. New men. Didn't last a week. Someone leaked screenshots to the local date scam warning Facebook group, which now had 400 members and a pinned post with all their names and photos. She messaged me out of the blue. Said she was in therapy. I got caught up in the lifestyle. It messed with my head. I told her I hoped she figured things out. I meant it. As for Vera? Well, she finally broke her silence, with a final message from a burner number. You destroyed my life over dinner. I responded with a photo of her TikTok that read, Never accept less than you deserve. She blocked me. Again. 3rd time's the charm, I guess. It's been 3 months since that dinner from hell, and I'm not gonna lie, life has never tasted so damn sweet. The site's still up, date scam alert. Calm, and still getting traffic. I check the analytics sometimes just for the serotonin hit. Every week, there's a new batch of hits from guys in different cities. The word is spreading. One guy even sent me a gift card with a note. You saved my bank account and my dignity. I used it to buy noise-canceling headphones. Very peaceful. Very symbolic. As for Vera? Well, let's just say her personal rebrand didn't go as planned. She tried to spin the whole thing on social media. At first, she leaned into victimhood, lots of sob stories and heavily filtered reels about emotional trauma caused by financial manipulation. She said I weaponized masculinity to punish her for having standards. She called herself a survivor of weaponized frugality. Let me repeat that. Weaponized frugality. It became a meme in our city's Reddit group. People were photoshopping her face onto Monopoly cards and captioning it, "Do not pass go unless he's a provider." Someone even made a parody TikTok account using audio from her meltdown voicemails over a loop of a declined credit card animation. It went viral. The cherry on top? She tried to monetize her downfall. Launched an e-course called Know Your Worth, Feminine Energy and Financial Standards. $199 for 6 modules on how to get men to pay for your life. 2 people bought it. Both asked for refunds. Meanwhile, her crew completely disbanded. Maddox moved to another city, apparently trying to start fresh under a new alias. 2 bad people in that city also Google. Shandanda, yep, still not a typo, deleted all her accounts after someone tagged her in a thread about restaurant scammers. Shay, to her credit, stayed in therapy. She even emailed me a real apology. I didn't reply, but I didn't hate it. Vera, though? She went scorched earth. When the IRS hit her with a final bill, for $200 in back taxes, penalties, and interest, she went on a rant so explosive, I half expected her to pop a blood vessel live on stream. She claimed the government was persecuting women for having expectations. I'll give her this, she's committed to the bit. She tried getting hired at a few startups. No dice. Turns out when your name is attached to a site about dinner scams, and your old TikToks are still floating around the internet yelling, "Never date a man who hesitates," recruiters get real quiet. Eventually, she had to move back in with her parents. I heard from a friend of a friend she's now working at a mall kiosk selling phone cases. Not even the good ones, like the ones that break when you sneeze too hard. She posted a crying video from her car about how society punishes high-value women for asking for what they deserve. It got ratioed hard. Top comment? "You asked for lobster, got justice." Oof. But it didn't end there. She sent me one last bill. Not kidding. A handwritten invoice for emotional damages tied to date scam alert. Claimed I owed her $10,000 for defamation, psychological distress, and career sabotage. She actually signed it. With grace, Vera? I replied with a screenshot of her TikTok where she winked and said, "Make sure he pays the first bill without hesitation. If he hesitates, he's broke." She blocked me. For good this time. Probably. Now here's the real twist, none of this has made me bitter. In fact, I've started dating again. I met someone a few weeks ago. We clicked over bad coffee and a shared hatred of LinkedIn humble brags. On our first date, we got sushi. I reached for the bill. She stopped me. "I've got this one," she said. I must have blinked 12 times. "What?" "I'm dating you, not your wallet," she said, grinning. "Besides, I make more money than you." And that's when I knew, finally, I was free. From games. From tests. From weaponized femininity and lobster-shaped emotional blackmail. I kept my savings account. My dignity. My Honda. And I gained one hell of a story. Best $87.50 I ever didn't spend. It's funny how chaos turns into clarity. Back when all this went down, I was embarrassed. Like genuinely humiliated. That sinking feeling of handing over your card in front of a crowd and hearing the words, "declined," I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I thought I looked weak. Like a failure. Like I'd failed some ancient masculine test involving steaks, wine, and women who order 2 entrees and don't blink. But looking back now, that moment saved me. Because here's what I've realized since. There are 2 kinds of people in this world. The ones who think love is a transaction, and the ones who understand it's a partnership. Vera and her squad? They were investors with no capital. They brought nothing to the table but expectation and attitude, then acted shocked when the market crashed. It wasn't about money. It was about entitlement. They believed their presence alone was a gift, and anything less than royal treatment was abuse. And the minute reality came knocking, they played victims so fast it gave the truth whiplash. But that's not even what surprised me most. What really blew my mind? How many other guys had lived versions of this same story. After the site took off, the emails poured in. I heard from college students, surgeons, guys in their 50s, guys in their 20s. One dude from Texas wrote, "She asked me to buy designer shoes for her best friend's birthday, on our second date." Another guy from Berlin sent a voice note too angry to subtitle. It was global. It was epidemic. Some of them had paid. Some of them hadn't. All of them felt the same shame. Until they realized. They weren't broke. They were just dodging a bullet with price tags. But don't get me wrong, I'm not out here trying to start some movement. No anti-women manifesto. No angry YouTube rants. I still believe in romance. Still believe in kindness. Still believe in picking up the check when it feels right. But now, I also believe in looking for the red flags. The subtle test. The unspoken audition. The fake emergency that costs $500 and a piece of your self-respect. And most of all, I believe in walking away the second someone says, "You need to impress my friends." Because I know what that really means now. It means, you're not dating one person. You're trying out for a lifestyle. No thanks. Now I'm with someone who doesn't keep score. She texts me memes. Pays for dinner sometimes. Buys her own damn Wagyu. Doesn't believe generosity should be a loyalty test. We laugh about it sometimes. About Vera. About the dinner. About how close I came to spending $2,000 for a round of judgmental side eyes and a breakup in the parking lot. And every time I remember that moment, the waiter clearing his throat, the check in my hand, the card getting declined, I don't feel shame anymore. I feel proud. Because that was the night I passed the real test. Not hers. Mine.